Bizarre is intended for mature, open-minded audiences only. If you are easily offended, we suggest you turn this wacky shit straight off. Anywho, so Chris, you are the first among us, I believe, to have your first round of the COVID-19 vaccine.
Yeah, God, with the pregnant pause there, it really sounded like I got COVID.
I didn't mean to give it dramatic license there, but
Yeah, that was good.
probably works.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't know I was going to get it. I am very, very grateful, and I'm super fortunate, I feel, personally. The tribe I work for secured a fucking shit ton of the vaccine. And their intention there was to be able to vaccinate their tribal elders and people within their community, and they are like their own little government. So they're working directly with the CDC. We wondered, they had kind of mentioned that they were going to try to start getting our frontliners and stuff, and anyone that has to work on the floor. And they just had enough that they were like, if you come down to the floor frequently, we're going to put you in the list. And I'm on the floor every day, moving posters around or changing out signage or helping out with that. So,
well, you would have been a few steps up, but they found out that you were a back to fronter, so they had to put you back
I
to
was
the...
I was wondering how a strapping young lad like yourself got the vaccine already.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, it must have been a tribal thing. That's what I thought,
exactly.
But,
I mean, my boss came in and asked me and my coworker Leandra. She was like, we have 2 spots available left. And at first we were like, oh my God, are we taking this from somebody that like an older person that maybe might more at risk?
Yeah.
And she's like, nope, covered every single person that wants it. We've had I like 10% or 5% of the people they offered it to opted out.
And one of them was supposed to go to that bitch Becky's. Fuck her. Fuck her. It's yours now.
So yeah, I got it, but I got to be honest, I found it the second after I got it, I was really emotional about it. I've been really stressed out about dying and leaving Logan or Bridget passing too. It's just like, we don't have a lot of family, so I always wonder, like, what happened to him, I got my vaccine, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm going to get my follow-up shot in, I think, 2 weeks or 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, it seems like at this point, because I know so many people that work in the medical industry, and I guess people who, in my family are, in the category to get it earlier. I feel like at this point, almost most of the people that I'm close with have had a vaccine. And I've heard from several of them that the second round is the one that most of them don't have any symptoms at all, like no side effects at all. The ones that did, they were pretty mild on that first day, just a few hours after that initial shot. The second shot caused a bit more soreness. Had a couple people say that they basically just spent the bulk of the day in bed feeling a little fluish, but then that was it. They didn't get sick. Too. They just
that's what I've heard from some people, is that their second shot, they kind of felt like they had like a really, really, really mild kind of low grade flu for a couple days, and that was
it didn't last that long, and never became like a full blown sickness. But so far so good. It seems like the overwhelming majority. I mean, I haven't heard any bad stories in my personal world, but just following the international story, seems like it's taken pretty well. We won't know how well it works as a vaccine for a while, but at least we know that it's not having too many terrible adverse effects. So. Yeah.
No microchips, no voices in your head.
Yeah, you feeling any urge to I don't know, become a communist or
go out and kill?
What else? What are the theories? I don't even know what the theories that these things are. Do you feel like the government is
exactly
looking
where I am right now, you guys?
Do you feel weird when you put your phone up to your head or
use your phone? That's my favorite thing about the whole microchip thing, is like, do you feel like the government might be watching what we search? Do you feel like Google might be watching what you're doing right now? Do you feel like there's a camera on your phone that we've given every single app we use permission to look at us and record us?
Yeah, it's hilarious. Is like in the last couple days, like there's been 2 clear instances of me or Jen saying something out loud, and then that fucking thing appearing in ads in my Instagram or Facebook feed, and it's like not something I searched not
creepy.
something that I searched like Google for. It's just something that we talked about.
Yeah.
So for sure, that shit is listening to what you're saying.
Yeah. The spy becomes the spied.
You used to get that on Facebook quite a bit. I'd be looking at something, and then my Facebook feed would pop up like all the time. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's just all there in the cookies. It's a simple trick, but that's where it started. But now we got these.
What's creepy is when they listen to
the
you.
Smart
That's
TVs
the creepy thing.
and the smart.
Like,
and that's been.
What else are they fucking hearing? You know, what else is
They're hearing it all, man.
Oh yeah, smart TVs.
Yeah, Xboxes were another early one to put the cameras and the microphones on. Before our TVs had them themselves. I still don't have a smart TV, but everything else I own has a fucking camera on it.
I mean, do you have like a Fire Stick or something in your TV?
Yeah, I rarely turn my TV on proper. When I'm watching stuff, it's usually on. I got
gotta
all my projectors from Radar Station. I have 3 projectors. I got one hooked up in my room and one in my living room. I've been just because I like the vibe of it. And I don't really watch things. I sit at my computer and type and edit, and then I just have something playing in the background. So I've been projecting it on my. Yeah, go ahead.
You got to have a nice screen for that 10-year-old Survivor you're watching every fucking day.
I want to see 1994 Saved by the Bell in the crystal blurest of standard def that I can. So I project it onto my mini blinds. It's got all the lines.
Topical Saved by the Bell line there. Did you hear about Dustin Diamond? Is that Screech?
No, now what?
Well, yeah, we talked about him.
Well, no, he's breaking news. He's in the hospital. He's dying of cancer, stage 4.
Oh, shit. Really?
Oh, I thought it was the sword thing.
No, that was another story about him.
He's been nothing but, he's been in the news a lot. I did not hear this. Let me Google, because that's hit me right in the sledgehammer.
Yeah, I saw yesterday that they had admitted him to the hospital, and it was like suspected cancer, and I was like, woof. And then I saw just before I signed on.
Oh, yeah.
That,
diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, undergoing. Doesn't mean he's going to die. I know 3 people that were at stage 4.
Yeah, but if he's been admitted to the hospital at this point, I mean, I don't know.
Well, it doesn't look good. But like I said, I know 3 people that have come back from stage 4 cancer. Depends on the cancer too. If it's like esophagus or like liver cancer or something like that, those are pretty brutal. Not all cancers are created equally. But that's too bad. He has had more than Lark Voorhees, who played Lisa Turtle, and Dustin Diamond, who played Screech. Those 2, almost immediately after Saved by the Bell went away, just started getting into trouble with the law. And it seemed like Lark definitely had some mental issues going on. Like, I can't remember any specifics, but it seemed like she was kind of acting the goat for a while. I don't know where she's at, how she's been doing, but the others, they went on to more successful careers. You'd see, I can't remember, is it Mark Paul
Gosselaar?
Mark Paul
Gosselaar. Right?
Yeah, Zach. Yeah. He went on to some pretty successful shows, and I can't remember who played Slater, that guy, but Mario, Lopez. He's done like
he's
those
everywhere.
Dancing shows, and he's everywhere. He's probably the most.
The same too.
He does look the same. In fact, he's on the new Saved by the Bell, which I have no interest in watching.
And that one girl had a successful dancing career in Vegas. Remember?
Yeah, absolutely. Jessie went on to a striking career in Showgirls. Well, listen, if you're going to do a movie and you're only going to be known for one movie, it may as well be like Notorious, right? And Showgirls became Notorious, and that was her first real movie after Saved by the Bell. So it had the double-edged sword of, well, this was a scandalous, it was a pretty in-your-face stripper movie at the time, and it starred someone from one of the most beloved, not kids shows, but tweens and teens is what it was geared for, especially as they got older. But and then Kelly, she went on to be on 90210 for a while before, like the last couple seasons before that went away. So all in all, as far as like child stars, they all went on to have some pretty Freudian slip, because Screech did famously film a porn. I don't know if you guys ever watched it. I only saw the clips, and that was enough to tell me that I did not want to screech. Man.
I know.
Yeah, but anyhow, well, Godspeed, Screech. I hope you still got some life in you left. You never know. I got hockey on the background now because it is hockey season. None of you are hockey fans, really, are you?
No. I've always wanted to get into hockey, and I've been to several games up in Canada. I have well, not several, one. I've been to several games at the fucking Everett.
But it was Arena. Canadian. You got to give me that.
Yeah. So but man, yeah, I really am excited to get the Seattle team, the Kraken.
I am too. I thought they were firing it up this season, but I don't see them on the schedule anywhere. Yeah. What struck me is that, we've already talked about the football. I got to be honest. I surprised myself by getting balls deep back into football this year. I really thought that kind of just wasn't going to be an interest for me going forward. But
yeah, look at that.
All of a sudden I had all this time being home to fire up, a game or two. And then it was like, yeah, I'm enjoying watching football again. And, I think we talked about this. I was curious about just how the whole thing was going to look and feel without a crowd. So I just tuned in to watch that. And then I just started getting into the games. I was like, hey, yeah, I kind of missed this. I probably missed maybe 5 at the most games this entire season. I'm not talking about Seahawks. I'm talking about every game. I watched everything. Really? I was like following all the teams. Man. Yeah. You know who I enjoyed?
How come we haven't talked about this?
Enjoying watching the Chiefs. Because the Chiefs, I'll be surprised if they don't make it into the Super Bowl. But the Chiefs remind me of the Seahawks when the Seahawks are at their best or were at their best a few years ago. The team and the way it just seems like they just always pulled it off, even when it seems like they couldn't, and they were just firing on all cylinders. They're just unstoppable. Even when it looks like they're going to stop, or you're going to stop them, they just have these pulled out the ass big plays, like right at the end of the game. That happened several times this season. So I've been enjoying watching other teams this year besides the Hawks. But
have you been enjoying the Browns?
Yeah. Who did they just beat? That was it. The Steelers that I was watching. I can't remember the last game.
Yeah, the Steelers, I think.
Yeah. At one point, I started rooting for the Steelers because it was getting away. I think that's the game I'm thinking about. They all are starting to jumble at some point. But you know what? I really just want a good game. Like not when I'm watching the Hawks. I don't want a good game when I'm watching the Hawks. I want a blowout when I'm watching them. It's too stressful otherwise. But it is so much more fun when they do come back from looking like they're not going to pull it off, or it's a hard fought battle all the way to the end and then they come out on top. That's always a much more satisfying thing. But the Hawks went out. Now, when we last talked, we were full of hope, and you were. I didn't think it was going to go that badly. It was a roughin'. It wasn't a fun game to watch at all.
It did not feel good. No. Yeah.
But
because it was the Rams.
Yeah. Well, so the season was I just got right back into it. With hockey, it's funny because it's with the crowds not being in football, it was immediately apparent, but most of the angles don't really show that. And then they've played with not only putting things in the stands and cardboard cutouts, but certain camera angles, and they're blurring out the background a little bit, and which I really like how that they're playing with lower camera angles. I think it really looks cinematic and cool when it's down close to the field and they really blurred that background out. It gives it a nice depth of focus, but there's quite a bit of space between out of bounds on a football field and the actual stands, where you got staff and medical people standing on the cameras. There's tons of stuff on the sidelines. That's not so with hockey. You got the ice, and then there's the box, and right on the other side of that is chaotic frenzy of fans slapping the glass like right up against it. And so it was interesting going from that to hockey, and it's like, wow, you really notice it way more in hockey because there's no camera angle that doesn't that hides it, and you really miss it. You really miss all the fans just kind of like slapping the glass and just being right up there. And it's probably going to be a little bit harder for me to get used to, but I did hear that they're going to get jiggy with it a bit, playing out some outdoor games, which like back in the old days. Someone even said she found out that a friend of mine is a huge hockey head. she was reading the story that it made it seem like they were actually going to play on some lakes, like some NHL games on frozen lakes. That panned out not to be true from what she found. I never did look it up, but that really captured my imagination. I was like, can you imagine if they went back to
doesn't seem like
actually...
it would be conducive to a professional game.
Sure doesn't, but sure sounds exciting.
Watch.
The thought that they could actually fall through the frozen lake really would make for a more exciting game. And I already love hockey. I think it's one of the most exciting sports.
I mean, it would add an element of risk, not so much because of the ice being too thin potentially, but just like they wouldn't be able to get the Zamboni out there to make sure it's all nice and smooth, and you know what I mean. There'd be little ridges here and there, and like
rough,
pits, and it would be entertaining to watch. Probably,
I'd watch it. I'd watch it as what do they call those sideshow things just outside of the NHL? You know, kind of like a thing. I was gonna say I got into hockey when I was in like junior high, but it was in a video game. And I can't remember, I think it was like a PlayStation game.
Blades of Steel.
Oh, Blades of Steel was my shit.
I love it. It's so much fun. But as I grew up older and stuff, I've been to a lot of the games, the Wenatchee Wild and all that. It's great. It's fun. It's a good time. But I
got a good team, a good venue.
Sitting down, that in my house, living room.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. As you all probably know, I'm not a sports fan, and I'm just wondering, it seems like most of the people that I know are into following sports to some degree, and I'm wondering, what you think it is that I'm not into it. Is it just like my brain's not wired the right way, or I was thinking, well, maybe it's because I wasn't really around it, but that's not necessarily true.
Well, for me,
because I played soccer when I was younger. I played, softball and all that shit. I was on sports teams and stuff, but it just nothing clicked with me. But there was no real sports on TV while I was growing up, up until I was 15, because we were in a different country. We didn't have access to that stuff.
Right.
But when we came back on furlough or whatever from time to time, and when we came back for good, my dad's super into watching sports. My brother is, my cousin, they'd all be watching football and going crazy and hooting and hollering and stuff. I'd just be sitting there going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it just, nothing never grabbed me. And I just, you know what I mean?
I really
sports
believe
video
that there
games are boring to me. So
I was bored by most of them too. Blades of Steel was an exception. But I think there are sports out there for everybody. It's just a question of which one's going to grab. Some people.
Well, I mean,
love to
obviously,
watch
I was super into skateboarding.
Well, there you go.
Is it the same thing? Is it different?
It is
the same thing.
It is, and it isn't. Team sports are definitely their own thing. They are quite different than individual sports like skateboarding. And I think when we were skating, we would have rejected the notion that it was even a sport. It was a lifestyle. I probably would have said something smarmy like that. But, when you're watching competitions, skate competitions, you can, a competition is a competition. What I find that I like about sports is just watching a good competition. That's why I get so balls deep into the Olympics, and I watch everything. I get as excited for the badminton as I do the bobsledding or, the curling. The curling's blown up. That's become a more popular sport, but I remember loving that when I was a kid, and I barely knew what was going on, but I could follow it enough to know that a close game is a close game to me. As far as why you never got into football or basketball or baseball, I don't know. I've come in and out of interest of all of those sports. Used to be really big into the NCAA and the March Madness. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I couldn't wait for March Madness to come around. About 10 years solid, I was balls deep.
I mean, I will say, I will say one caveat to my, general disinterest in sports is that I will never choose to go to a football game or a baseball game or basketball or whatever. But if someone's like, we got tickets to this game and you're going to go with us, you know what I mean? It's like one of those situations where okay, I guess I'm going to this thing. I do enjoy the experience of being at the game.
And you can follow along, and you get the whole premise.
Oh yeah, I know enough about it to like follow along what's going on.
Do you find yourself rooting for anybody, or are you just like, no, they scored and then they scored? You don't care.
Well, it depends. I think so. Like, if for example, obviously I'm going to be affected by where I live. So, back in the days of yore, when the Seahawks were at the Super Bowl or whatever, my brother had a Super Bowl party once, and I went to that, and I got kind of invested in the game a little bit, like well, they were fucking robbed, what, come on,
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Throw your phone.
I enjoyed the time, even though they got robbed.
But you remember working at the Boost Mobile, when every time there was a big Seahawks game and they lost, you had extra business that week because of all the people that would throw their fucking phones. I remember several people coming in saying, my husband threw his phone watching the Seahawks. That's fucking hilarious. And I don't do that. I've never been that crazy into it. I get pissed. I definitely get pissed when I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Like, are you fucking serious? I like that. I like even part of that. I'm up here by myself on my little stair stepper, yelling in comments like, "What's going on, meow?" But so even without the camaraderie and without the atmosphere, I can get pretty into competition. But the reason I asked if you could do that, so now I don't know what to say, because it seems like you do get it, like you can get it. It's just not an interest. I mean, I guess it's enough to just say it's not an interest.
It takes, for me personally, like I was in your position, Jon-Mark. I wasn't much into sports. I played baseball as a kid. I watched the Mariners. I like the Mariners quite a bit, but I really turned my nose up at football. And you guys know I love football now. So for me, it took a combination of a few things. I in my mid-20s befriended someone that was really into football, and he was really patient and kind and explained the fucking game to me, because it's a complicated game. It really is.
Yeah, with the penalties and some of those things, you can get totally lost.
And understanding why they're doing what they're doing and stuff, that changes your perspective on it. You start to get into like the actual schematics of what the fuck's happening. And so
how 1 minute can make the biggest difference, even if it's earlier on in the game, whether you go for it on fourth, try to kick a field goal or punt it away. There's a lot that goes into that decision.
This is kind of like a theory that I've had for a while, and I don't know if I can articulate this properly, but there's like a certain space in your mind for these kinds of complicated interactions, and how I think your ability to enjoy them is all dependent on how they're presented, right?
Yes.
Oh, sure.
So the complicated plays and rules and penalties and stuff of like sports, like a football or whatever. So, for example, fantasy football is essentially Dungeons and Dragons, but for people who are into sports. It's literally the same thing. You're making your team, you're making your characters, you're building your thing, and you know what I mean? And you're doing this stuff. And for me, like, I always considered, when I was like super into playing Magic, like the mechanics of that game, like, and how it makes your mind think about certain things. Like, if it wasn't like wizards and dragons and elves on the cards, I think a lot of other people would have been into that game based on the interactions of the mechanics of it.
Sure.
If it was like presented differently, you know what I'm saying?
Does and likewise, if trolls and wizards and elves and orcs were playing out on the pitch, Jon-Mark might have tuned in to watch that version of fantasy football.
Might be.
I'd watch it.
Personally, for me, when I was a kid growing up and stuff like that, I didn't really, I knew football. I watched it, but like, a lot of my friends, we'd just hang out, play guitar and, smoke cigarettes and drink and, just do, 20-year-old shit. But we used to get out on the field and we'd play football, and so for me, it's like, I would rather play the game than watch it. So what we would do is every Sunday we'd meet up and we'd play up here at the Eastmont High School. And we would hook up with the college team. The college team would be practicing. And we'd be like, hey, man, let's play. And we would shirts and skin it. And we'd have a fucking great time.
Yeah,
I mean,
I miss those
some
days.
of us would get hurt.
You'd always get hurt, sure.
We're wearing protective gear or anything like that, but we had a blast, but like for me personally, I would rather go out and do it versus, sitting at home watching. That's why like right now I want to go to the gym so fucking bad because I'm literally a year out of shape. Yeah. Or sitting on my ass for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that, dude. I feel that really hard, man.
I think ultimately it's one of those things where you'll never get it. But like Christopher said, he wasn't into it, and then he was. Some people aren't into Radiohead until they are. Sometimes you do change your taste, or you just have that right experience with it. I think the closest you probably come from what I've seen with converts, Jon-Mark, would be one of those like Super Bowl games. It's a big game, and everyone is sitting there rooting and getting swept up in that. I think would probably be your best way to be exposed to it, and if it doesn't do it for you, then you're just not into it. And I think it's fair. But, that doesn't mean you wouldn't love hockey or Scottish darts or watching billiards or, professional bowling. I watch all of that. I'm probably one of the biggest sports freaks you'll ever meet, but I never talk about it because no one watches all the weird little things that I watch. I don't watch Scottish darts with anybody else. Nobody else I know. Well, I know people that watch plenty of soccer, but not many of them are watching the Premier English leagues and all these, and then the Irish leagues. I used to subscribe to all these apps so I could follow all this weird shit. Now you can just get it if you know where to look online. But so I don't know. For me, it's all about the competition. I can get into just about any sport in any game, even if I don't know anything about the teams, even if I don't really know anything about the sport. As long as I have a vague understanding of it, I'll find somebody to root for.
Yeah, I get in a lot of problems with that because, like, even like watching football, I love the Seahawks. Don't get me wrong. Seahawks and the Green Bay has been like, my teams for fucking 20 years, and so like. If they're playing and Green Bay makes a fucking killer play against Seattle, I'll compliment it. I'll be like, God damn, that was a good play.
Oh, yeah, you can't say that out loud in certain circles.
Yeah, you can.
Get a rope.
You're sitting at a bar with a lot of your Seahawks buddies, and they just look at you like, traitor.
I can't stand that.
I can't either.
I love complimenting a good play. I'll feel like shit about it, but I'm like, fuck, that was a good catch.
You should.
Well, again, it goes back to wanting a good game, right? I mean, who wants to boast about a Seattle Seahawks team that is good at beating shitty teams? You want them to be good at beating the good teams.
I enjoyed winning some of those games immensely, but I do understand.
The Seahawks are great at losing against the worst teams in the league.
Well, that's not true. I mean, we beat the Jets.
The Seahawks, though, the Jets, God bless them.
Oh, God.
I know other fans were disappointed that they did win that last game.
Yeah, but I mean, have you followed? Okay, so side note on this. There is I don't know his name. I can't remember his name because I don't follow college football. But there is a up and coming quarterback from college football that is like they call him a generational draft or something like that, where it's like he's that talented where he's going to change. They think he's going to change the game. So he's about to be drafted this year. And so the Jets are in dire need of a fucking great quarterback, and that could change their franchise. And they were set to be first for the draft. And they ended up winning that crazy game against the Steelers, I think, who were at one point like 12-0. They beat that team and they knocked themselves out of contention at the end of the season, basically, to get that draft that possibly could have changed their franchise because they won't be the first to get a pick any longer.
Yeah,
because the team before. So it's like it was one of those things where it was like the highest of highs taking down that team that's going to the playoffs and you haven't won a single fucking game this season.
Yeah.
And then the lowest of lows for fucking 10 years maybe after that.
I don't remember ever seeing a team never win a game. I'm sure it's happened. It must have happened, but not when I was paying attention.
Brandon Schultz on this podcast stat.
Yo, he's yelling left and right like,
no, he is.
I have things to contribute. Yeah. But anywho, I didn't mean to take such a detour down the sports road, but I'm sure a lot of our listeners are sports fans. And hockey, I'm so excited because we didn't get hockey last season. Now we have it, and I will take it even with the empty, sad. It seems like if they just put no, I guess I was thinking they could distance themselves in like a bubble, but it's not a fans versus players virus. Anywho, getting on to some other news. Elon Musk is now officially the richest human on planet Earth. Suck it, Bezos, with your paltry, I think he's got 182 billion now, and Elon just cashed in at 190. I wonder if Bezos is pissed or relieved or just doesn't care, because it's like, the entire world sucks my dick. What do I'm not going to lose sleep over it. It's likely going to go back and forth between those two over the next decade or so. But
you want to think it doesn't fucking matter, but like,
that's
I guess
a
the
big
people
title
like,
to lose, man.
I guess the people like that, it might.
You wouldn't know, and you wouldn't know what it feels like to lose a title until you have it, and only one person can be called the richest man in the world, and that, if that ain't bragging rights of a type, I don't know what is. And to lose it to somebody who's, I would say, a bit more famous than Jeff Bezos. At least people know what Elon Musk looks like. I don't think I could pick Jeff Bezos out in a lineup. Go ahead, Lau.
Yeah, I want him to do a talk show so he could be in the audience and he just walks out and you get a Tesla and you get a Tesla and you get a trip to the moon.
Yeah. Well, I just learned that Musk co-founded PayPal. Never knew that before. It was one of his many ventures I did. That was like one of his earliest big successes.
Man. I wonder where he makes most of his money. You think it from Tesla Corporation or from other things?
Yeah, now it is, I think. But I did, I came across this feature on Listverse, 10 crazy facts about working for Tesla. And I thought I'd share a few of these, illuminate some of that. But apparently, first off, you're not allowed to walk anywhere near Elon's desk. This is not a written rule, but it's something that all the Tesla employees is just like an understanding.
Like, all right.
Yeah, it's highly, highly advised you don't go anywhere.
The invisible wall fence.
But apparently it's not necessarily because Elon has given them reason to think he doesn't want anybody around them, like a spatial issue. But Elon is apparently famous for impulsively firing Tesla workers at the drop of a hat. If somebody answers a question when he's asking like a question that he doesn't really need anyone to specifically answer, someone just volunteers an answer, they've put themselves on the chopping block, and if he doesn't like it, he'll fire him on the spot. That's something that apparently he does, maybe not daily, but seemingly weekly. He fires a lot of people impulsively. Yeah. So it's just like, you don't want to go anywhere near him. You really don't want him to know you unless, you absolutely have to. So be careful there, folks. Another one is that apparently going over your boss's head, which is frowned upon in most places, is actually encouraged at Tesla, all the way up to the man himself. Now, Musk seems to want to hear lots of ideas and feedback without filtering through the channels of lower management, which he finds cumbersome, and he doesn't have the patience for. I kind of like that protocol. It could be tricky here and there, but I like that it sort of evens the hierarchy a little bit.
Well, it nips it in the bud too.
It just seems smart.
Problem, and then you solve it. You don't sit there and go through graduated steps to get permission.
Yeah, well, think about how many things that upper management never even hears.
It's tricky.
Yeah, because one manager could be like, "No, it's a bad idea," and it could be the greatest idea for the company. That guy is a lower management for a reason. He hasn't advanced his way up for a reason. So why should he be the first in line to say no to an idea that could change not only the face of the company, but with a company like this, the face of the world? I mean, Elon's changing the world for better or worse. That's up to you to decide. But another thing is you can and will be sued for sharing any company secrets. This one's no surprise. Even smaller companies that aren't changing the world have similar policies. I remember when we worked at the paper, there were signs everywhere that you couldn't take out you would get pallets of all this peripheral material, like coupons, sales that were coming up. Now they were printed a week or two in advance of the sales. So those sales, they don't really get announced until you drop them into the paper. So you have pallets of all these things and all these coupons that are valuable, and you can't take any of that stuff out of the building or you're fired. I mean, it's just like it's a one and done thing. It was that important. So that was not so surprising. Now, this one seems all too familiar. Apparently, working for the richest man in the world will make you poor. The average Tesla employee wage hanging in between 30 and 40,000 a year.
No way.
Yeah, which is barely enough to get the cheap model of the Tesla. And that's especially a bummer because Tesla workers are notoriously overworked. So much so that the next item on the list is that the company provides basically a bottomless supply of free Red Bulls. I guess that makes it all
healthy.
Better.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a Mr. Burns Christmas bonus.
Most people in this country are severely underpaid. It's fucking ridiculous.
But the richest. There's something extra just bitch about being the richest man in the world and paying your employees garbage. And especially what they're doing for you. But
I mean, who's worse, Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos? I feel like I'm leaning towards Elon.
This is the question. Exactly. This is the question. How many employees does Elon Musk have versus Jeff Bezos? Because Amazon has I don't even know how many fucking employees they have. Hundreds of thousands. Does Tesla have? I don't see them having that many employees, right?
I'd be surprised. Yeah, I don't know.
And you would think that most of the positions in Tesla would be, most of them would be more technical, positions. And with Amazon, there's a lot of people that are just basically running and grabbing shit or driving a van.
I have a news update.
48,000 Tesla employees.
God damn it.
Oh, sorry. Did you just...
Yeah. News update.
But I wanted to do that.
Fucker.
Yeah, so it's not a tit for tat, but it's worth noting.
I feel if we came to a point Earth destruction, like a giant comet was coming, that Elon would dump all his money into stopping it, versus the other dude would probably just let it happen.
You know what I mean? Think Bezos would let the world end?
Well, I think he wouldn't jump.
I don't know. They both have space. They both have space divisions, so
it's true.
Bezos does?
Yeah, Blue Origin.
I don't know if I was aware of that.
Yeah,
but we all know his own.
He's got his own rocket.
Well, there you go. They're just leaving us, and they're $30,000 a year employees.
Hey, listen, guys. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard wasn't wrong when they said "Red Mars for the rich, Earth for the poor."
Yeah. Well, speaking of sports, you can't get into. Jon-Mark's trying to convert us all. I've given them a shot. They haven't hit me yet, but I'm sure they will at some point. King Gizzard,
here's the thing: is I'm going to have to sit down with you in the same room with a few albums and some whiskey and some cigars.
Give me back rub. I was like, I get it now.
This is an experience. Enjoy it.
Because
I was not listening to them right.
Here's the it's not a matter of that. It's just they are so, every album is so different and they're so diverse that you just have to find the right thing for the right person to hit it. Oh, okay, I get this.
Yeah,
I get that. And that will lead to something else, because it's just they're all over the map, from
well, that's how it is trying to turn people onto Ween
sounds to completely acoustic albums to just out of control, in your face, prog mushroomed out insanity, you know what I mean? It's just it's all over the place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I'm sure one of these days it'll take. Just to end this list, the last one I thought worth mentioning, there are more, you can check it out at Listverse, is you cannot unionize. One of the many companies to ban unions. So you ain't gonna likely get better pay anytime soon. So think about that before you decide to go join that team. I guess the best news here is that even at the low end, you got at least a chance of getting your idea up to the boss's ear. I'm going to let you all take a turn before I move on to my next really, really fascinating scientific medical story. Jon-Mark, did you bring us any treats this week?
Yeah, I do. Okay, so this must be true because I read it in the tabloids.
Excellent.
A woman allegedly impersonated an FBI agent and demanded that the staff at a Georgia Chick-fil-A give her a free meal or she would have them locked up.
Yeah. Okay.
Police said Kimberly Ragsdale maintained the farce even after cops arrived, speaking into her shirt as if she were wearing a wire and communicating with nearby federal officers.
That's genius.
Send someone to Rockmart. Send someone to Rockmart PD, she allegedly said. You will not hear a real officer demand a meal anywhere, said Chief Randy Turner, adding that discounts, of course, are appreciated.
Yeah, I call bullshit on no officers demanding meals, by the way. You know they have to. They have to flash that bag. Say, give me a fucking chicken.
I need donut and a coffee.
Another sort of apropos to our current situation story. Corona Newton has long been subjected to beer-based jokes about her unusual name. But the 49-year-old Briton says things have gotten out of hand during the pandemic. She has been plagued by prank callers. Is this the virus? And rude remarks. People have said to me as if I'm going to listen to somebody named after a virus.
As if.
But the civil servant who acquired her name because her parents were torn between Catherine and Sarah is philosophical about her moniker. At least no one will ever forget me, she said.
Well, that is true. Kind of a bummer. It's funny. We talk about this from time to time, how what your name is can be disastrous for you, but it depends on a lot of the time what area you live in with that name. And it can change in any minute.
Context.
Yeah. Like there had to have been more than one Adolf Hitler on planet Earth, but can you imagine being an Adolf Hitler once the Adolf Hitler came to power?
Who in their right mind would name their child that?
I mean, just Adolf in itself,
Yeah. Or even Adolf. Adolf is still a name that's out there, today.
It's not like no one names their kid that anymore. That was it. That was the cutoff point. Like, nope, that name's dead.
Karen was a perfectly fine name till about 3, maybe 4 years ago.
Karen got canceled, bro.
Karen got canceled. Chad and what's another one I hear? The male version.
I don't understand the whole Chad thing, because I know a lot of nice Chads.
I don't know any. I really don't know any non-nice Karens. So I guess it's all your life experience.
Do you think, moving forward, that the name Donald will be more popular or less popular?
Ooh. Well, it's going to be
less on the whole, but more in certain circles.
And more depending on what part of this country you live in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Donald Duck. So he's cool. We're cool.
Real American hero.
Donald Duck.
A fed-up Massachusetts motorist has successfully shamed authorities in his town into filling potholes by putting small Christmas trees inside them.
Festive and helpful.
Kevin Martin said he had enough when he blew all 4 of his car's tires while driving over a notoriously pock stretch of roadway. After he fixed his tires, he drove to Home Depot, bought several small Christmas trees with little red ribbons tied to their tops, and planted the trees in the potholes. I needed to make sure that it got fixed one way or another, he said. Days later, the potholes were filled and the trees removed.
Well, there you go.
Get it done.
That's like the guy that drew... what did he draw? Penises around all the potholes in his town?
Oh, yeah.
Forcing crews to come out.
Fuck. We gotta fix these now.
That was another good one.
Kind of heroes. Well, at least that didn't give you a flat tire. Just gave you a chuckle on the way to work. Penises. I love that we never grow up. You remember with not that long ago, and this was up in our neck of the woods, up here in the Okanagan skies, military jets were drawing sky penises. If you Google it, you can see pictures.
I think got reprimanded or fired or something like that.
I feel like they couldn't have got away with it without sort of...
Because they made the news is the problem, It was just
everywhere.
Something happened.
Yeah. Sky wieners. Sky wieners in flight. Afternoon delight. I'm going to get through one here, and then we'll go on to what Lyle has, and then we'll end before we get to some not space quiz, some weird trivia. I've got some interesting things to look for in 2021 concerning space. But first, this fucking story. This is a real-life horror tale, folks. Now, a man's experiment with psychedelic mushrooms went disastrously wrong and nearly killed him, according to his doctors. In a new case report, I got this off of Gizmodo. In a new case report released this week, they detailed how the man injected a tea made from the mushrooms into his body and developed a life-threatening infection that had mushrooms growing in his blood.
You've got to be fucking kidding me.
The experience left him in the hospital for close to a month. Fortunately, he did survive. Days before his ER visit, he had decided to use mushrooms by first boiling them down into what he called mushroom tea. Very common thing, but usually you drink it. Then filtering the mixture through a cotton swab and intravenously injecting it. Soon after, he developed symptoms including lethargy, jaundice, diarrhea, and nausea, along with vomiting up blood. Not fun. By the time he was admitted to the hospital's intensive care unit, multiple organs had started to fail, including his lungs and kidneys. Test revealed that, yeah, he's fucked. He's lucky to be alive. Test revealed that he had both a bacterial and fungal infection in his blood, likely meaning that the mushrooms he injected were now literally feeding off of him and growing.
Bro.
Which doctors did not think was possible. The doctors wrote that the fungus found in the man's blood was the same species of psychedelic mushroom that he had injected. Isn't that not fucking insane?
He became a fucking vessel for it.
You could drink his blood and get high as fuck.
I just taking you on a trip now, motherfucker.
Just eat him, son.
The thought process.
Just go ahead on and eat him.
You would go immediately to like, oh, I better shoot these up. Like, it doesn't.
Well, the story went on in greater detail about this person, and he had been substance abuse, but specifically psychoactive drugs. He had become dependent on them, and probably blew his mind out, which you can do. Eventually every drug will stop working, at least the way you want it to. And so I guess instead of eating an entire bag of them, you just make a concentrated tea and inject it. Listen, we don't know until we know. He could have, stumbled upon one of the greatest highs on planet Earth. Instead, he turned his arteries into a system of psychedelic mushrooms, which in and of itself sounds incredibly psychedelic and terrifying. So there you go, folks. And now you know. Now we know. And on that level, he's a medical hero, a medical pioneer.
Will be studied for years.
Oh, yeah, we will be studying, because who knows how this is going to pan out. Now, he's just barely out of the woods. So who knows what having your blood being taken over by psychedelic mushrooms will ultimately do down the road. Could be the ultimate flashback coming for him.
Well, it's like fungus and like mold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
it could cause so many fucking
killing his body.
Yeah.
It's fucking, ugh.
It's insane.
Makes me think of The Last of Us.
I can't believe it even works that way.
Clickers.
You want clickers? Because that's how you get clickers.
Oh, I don't know that.
That's that game. Well, sidebar. Another time. Another place.
Okay. Lyle, did you have some news?
I do. I have lots of news. Yes. Yes, excellent. We were talking about a little bit of a name change a little earlier. There's a super fan of a certain singer that he's a 30-year-old man, Thomas Don.
Thomas Dong.
From was it Campbell? It's over in England, and he found himself drinking himself a little too much, watching a lot of Celine Dion TV for a festive time.
You know what that's like, Ron?
Oh, this is during like the lockdown and stuff. So he realized out of a stupor he went to check his mail, and it ended up being a big white envelope. And it said, "Do not bend," across it, right? So he nearly passed out in the kitchen while he was opening it. He's just totally obliterated this whole time, for like it's a good stint, like a week. And it happened to be a letter from the HR department where he had legally changed his fucking name to Celine Dion. So he could, because in his mind, at the time, being all drunk, he figured it would be the best way to get backstage. So
no!
As if he changed his name. It's not a bad tactic.
He literally changed his name to Celine Dion. And he, out of his stupor, he realized that it was kind of a big mistake. And like when he sobers up, he's gonna go. And
I suppose if you can change your name, you can change it back. I wonder if you only have so many per lifetime. You know, you would think that they would be like, okay,
before they lock you out like a bad password.
Yeah, you're locked out. This is you from now on. Yeah, well, I wonder if he should wait to change it. He should at least give it a shot. See if he can get. I mean, if this is making its rounds through news, then Celine's bound to hear about it. Maybe this isn't a bad call at all. Maybe his drunk ass is about to get to go to Vegas.
It was like set an emergency meeting up with this crazy motherfucker.
Yeah.
Changed his name to my name.
We've got to get this guy in my personal backstage studio space. Mm-hmm. I don't feel threatened, creeped out at all.
I feel this.
True.
I feel like this next story we talked about before, but I'm not entirely sure about, like on the old show.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently there's a new trend going around, and it happens to deal a lot with unwanted presents or presents that are still left underneath the tree. And what people are doing is lately has been putting the still wrapped presents and then putting them on eBay. And then
that's fucking brilliant.
Having a bidding war.
The ultimate
and then
grab
you don't
bag.
even know. Yeah, you don't even know what you're going to get. You get like socks. Usually it's like in the article it had mentioned something like basically like gifts from exes or something like that, and they're still under the tree. And like,
I was going to say, how do you end up with unopened presents
in that situation? Or probably like late, gifts or something. Or maybe you might already know what it is, and you're like, "Oh fuck it, I don't want to open it." Kind of situation.
Yeah, I guess I do have a few presents wrapped for some of Leah's siblings that are 5 years old, and they've been sitting on the top of my fridge. Oh. But I feel like I'm just going to give them to her at some point. Yeah. Still can't imagine putting them up on eBay, but that's a fun project.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the whole point of it. It's supposed to be a fun kind of like guess your gift, kind of like like when I wouldn't even half the people don't even know what I'm talking about. But I used to go to like the Rock and Mineral show, and you go get those grab bags that just had like miscellaneous like
yeah, grab bags are huge. Bookstores do it, comic book conventions. It seems like all the big companies, but even like the comic book shops, they'll always do like a grab bag. You just don't get to look. It's $10. There's 30 comics in there. It is what it is. And you're not going to get some early Superman shit in there, but sure, you might get something that speaks to you. It's a good way to turn yourself on to new comics. It's just fun. It's the whole point is that you're not spending a bunch of money, but you're walking away with a pile of goods. Everybody wins. But on the other token, the other side of that token is it's a good way it's good cottage industry. Start wrapping a bunch of shit in presents and just saying, marketing them as leftover Christmas presents.
That's funny. You just go through your house and grab all the shit.
Just grab some random shit. Like that's how my grandma used to shop. God bless her. And end up with like an open half-used roll of duct tape. One of my favorites that she gave me was a half-used roll of duct tape, and in the middle of it was a half-used candle. Like a fat candle that she just shoved in it.
She's like, bonus.
She's like, yeah, it's a hillbilly candle holder. And I was like, that's hilarious. And I got to be honest, I lit the candle and I used the duct tape. So who's the jump? The older I get, the more I hate Christmas presents or presents in general that are just like stuff. It's like you guys know me. I've got enough stuff. In fact, I shovel it out every couple of years. I can't take it anymore, and I just shovel it out. And when someone like brings me a pile of gifts, I feel bad, but it's just like it makes me sick because it's like, oh, there's more stuff. But sometimes they give me something that's just like, God, I'm so glad I have that. So it's not across the board. But I love like smaller, more kooky, meaningful gifts.
I feel like I've been living something close to this just recently I have been just purging, and even I went to my shelf the other day. I looked at my fucking DVDs, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna give these away or toss them. I've had them for fucking 20 years. Yeah. And like, I can't remember the last time I watched one of them. I not put a disc in something, and that's not a euphemism. You know what I'm saying?
COVID has been tough.
Disc in something in quite some time.
Yeah.
So I want to get rid of it all. Like, why?
Yeah. Did you get rid of it?
No, I just did the other day. I was like, fuck, man. I've been just I cleared. I had a got junk come. Just
it feels good, doesn't it?
Tossing stuff out. I have a fucking queue of garbage bags of just random shit I'm going to toss in the trash every time I have space, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Anyways, tangent. Yeah. Feel it. Doesn't spark joy.
Lyle, you got maybe one more before we move on?
Yeah, I do. This is a fun one. A Hispanic man, this is in Mexico, he ended up digging a tunnel to the connecting house. You know, he has his house, and there's like another house underneath it, to his mistress, where he'd go visit her. And it's funny, if you look at the picture, it's like it's his kitchen up to a slider, you know, but he had broken the tile and cut out the floor, and it I don't know how they hit it from up above or from down below, but he would sneak down there and bang his neighbor, which is married. He was married also.
Yeah.
So it's like this tunnel of love, you know what I'm saying?
Sure. Two-way tunnel of love.
And it went for quite a while. They you know, were cheating on their partners, and then one day, the downstairs lady's husband came in and caught him. And the other guy tried crawling up through the tunnel to get back into his house, and you know, apparently he didn't make it. They didn't kill him, but I'm pretty sure beat him up pretty bad.
Wow.
Yeah. They ended up in a fist fight, and I think the upper guy's wife called the cops, and it was just like this big giant shit show. You know what I mean?
It sounds like a cartoon. Can you imagine coming home and, first of all, maybe you're a little suspicious of your wife, like, I don't know, getting weird vibes, and you just come home and
you get in there and some guy's in the closet.
Hey, I didn't know, man. I mean, I noticed a couple of pictures flipped upside down, sure, but oh fuck, yeah, the monster's life. But imagine seeing a hole and a dude climbing up it.
Yeah, right. But that's probably naked because
I don't know if my first thought would be he's coming to fuck my girl. I would think it was some sort of invasion or robbery, but I suppose, yeah, I don't know. That's fucking. That makes you wonder how long they were boning. That's commitment. First of all, to build.
Let's dig a tunnel.
Think about digging a tunnel. It sounds like the easiest thing in the world to do. It ain't. Imagine digging even 5 feet of crawlable tunnel that won't cave in and is big enough for you to get through, but you successfully dig it all the way to the end and use it several times. That's just insane.
Yeah.
Well done. And lucky to be alive, I suppose. Guy could have shot him legally, trespassing on his property. Well, I don't know what the laws are in Mexico, but sounds like he got off light. Truth be told, wonder if they moved.
Probably.
That would be awkward neighboring henceforth, huh?
Yeah. Hi, Bob.
Yeah, how you doing? Remember when I dug a tunnel to your wife's tunnel?
Yeah. Well, how's the wife?
And you beat me up for it? Yeah, how's the wife? Sure miss her. You tell her I said hi? Or...
So the big mystery is back to say that the Bermuda Triangle has snatched another victim. There was a ship carrying about 20 passengers that just literally disappeared this last week.
I saw the headline, but I didn't watch the story.
Yeah, and you know the old story of there's tons of theories, right? Like gastro bubbles underneath.
That was my favorite.
Or that bubble up, and what happens is it'll take the density of the water away, so ships and shit will sink.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then they're all, obviously they're gone. Whatever the other one, there's a magnetic one too.
Yeah, some sort of magnetic. That one never made as much sense to me, but I think it's the gas bubbles, honestly, because that's something that we know is going on down there.
Sure. There's a lot of activity down there, volcanic activity down there.
Mm-hmm.
The vessel, I believe, was leaving from the Bahamas at December 28th, and then it was going to Florida, and in between it disappeared. And this is an area which is huge. They're looking for. They covered a whopping 17,000 square miles in a period of 84 hours, looking for this vessel, and they never did find it. But that's pretty crazy.
It is crazy that it's still going on. But I had to Google. I was curious, how many ships on average do we lose every year that just go missing? Take a guess. How many would you guys guess every single year? How many ships just vanish?
Let's say it doesn't.
Overall, just like in the
world.
10,000.
Whoa!
Holy shit!
What?
The sea's a dangerous place, right?
Of course, Chris would aim high here. Okay, Lyle says a dozen. I got a feeling Jon-Mark might split the difference.
I was gonna say 10.
Well, Lyle is closest. It's actually 24 every single year on average. More than 24 large. Large
are you sure
dozen
you're not
fleets?
missing like a
10,000. Woo wee! that would be one dangerous way of getting around if that were true. But you know,
well, for me, the whole scenario was like it's 2020. You know, at the time, so it's to be able to vanquish a whole ship in the there's a lot of dead zones, sure, cell phones and stuff. But you figure somebody would if there was a real devastating, even if it was like foreign powers or something, with a fucking submarine that just nuked you, or something, you'd be able to get like some kind of a call out,
Well,
or
that's a theory for several missing ships in the 40s to 60s, in the Cold War era. They think a lot of those might have been submarines.
My dream would be like going through the triangle. I think there's the movie Ghost Ship was one of those kind of
greatest intro scene in horror movie history.
That's
fun about that movie.
So good.
You're just sitting there in your boat, and all of a sudden you see this just behemoth of a fucking dead vessel.
Yeah,
just creeping.
I've always loved that like the Flying Dutchman or these ghost ship stories. I always loved that notion. And because so many sailors see mirages, often drunken plus dehydrated and delirious mirages out at sea, those legends have endured for centuries. But it's a great legend, fucking creepy as shit too. But especially when it's tied to when it's like the Flying Dutchman or the captain. Is it Captain Courageous? I can't remember. Some captain sailing around the world. It was like a curse or Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, where it's tied to a curse, where it's you're not necessarily dead. You're just not among the living. You're tied to this ship.
Not alive.
Yeah, you're just cursed to this ship.
Auto everywhere.
And they touch upon those legends, of course, in the
weird
Johnny Depp
synchronicity or synchronicity. I don't know. I just about half an hour ago, maybe 45 minutes ago, watched the Lost in Vegas Patreon video of their reaction to a live version of Iron Maiden's Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner from the 2008 tour.
What did they think?
They liked it. At first, they weren't quite sure if they were, they appreciated all the technicality and the musicianship and all that stuff that went into it, but they weren't sure if they were going to dig the song, because it's like it's one of those songs where
you gotta stick with it.
Exactly, and they did, and they ended up coming out going, whoa, shit, that was incredible.
But the live version's got to be like a 10-minute song, right? Like 8 minutes.
It's like 13 plus.
Is it?
They ended up being pretty impressed with it. So
it's an interesting song because there's not a lot to it in the I mean, for like Maiden, it's not super hooky but then that breakdown, and then you can hear the creaking ship.
The breakdown and that, and then the solo shit in the middle and all that stuff. It's
that still gives me fucking goosebumps to listen to that shit. And I remember when I was 14 years old and hearing that shit for the first time. I think the first version I heard was the Live After Death version. And I was like, oh, is there an actual ship on the stage? Like, you just using your imagination. There probably was. Who knows? I don't know if I've ever seen footage from the Live After Death years.
I don't remember if Live After Death they had the backdrop of the ship, but I think they did for the Somewhere in Time tour, where it was like they had it looked like tattered sails and stuff in the background.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, with all the shit. It was fucking great.
Anyway. I used to know that spoken word, but I can't fucking remember for the life of me. It's like
I used to know it too.
They all disappear. Doing more treatment next week.
I love that story that Nico tells about playing. I can't remember where they were, but it was hot as balls. And the stage that they were playing on, right behind it was like this beautiful, pristine, cold swimming pool. And they were doing Rime of the Ancient Mariner. This was on, I think, the first, or maybe it was the second History of Iron Maiden, that documentary series that's come up on the show a couple of times. But he was talking about how he couldn't wait for that breakdown, so because you know that do 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 that goes on a while.
There's
with
a little
the
bit
vocal
of
part.
It's not a lot. It's like that rim that's.
But he could go jump in the pool, and he was like just floating back there, cooling off. And he said his ears were underwater, but he could hear the bass. And he was like, and then it goes the other way, you know, boo doo doo boo. I love that guy.
Yeah.
But anywho, all right. Well, let me get on to my final little segment here, and we'll see how badly I can lose at Weird Trivia this week. So I came across a page on space.com, or no, this was the Smithsonian. It is everything we should be looking for in 2021 concerning space. And I picked out a few that I thought were kind of cool. And February 11th is the first interesting one. I thought the Venus-Jupiter conjunction. So if you look at the southeast horizon, ideally with the aid of a telescope, about 20 to 30 minutes before the sunrise, you should catch a clear view of Jupiter and Venus cuddling so close that with the naked eye, it will appear that they are humping. You're not going to take my word for it, folks. That's the word straight from the Smithsonian. So that's the first thing. By the way, did any of you guys get a clear look at the insane planetary alignment that we had in December?
No, I wish.
We had one clear night and we could kind of see it. It was crazy. I got out there with my little app, my space app, and just happened to be, as I was looking at it, because it was cloudy, I couldn't see it that first night when it was truly aligned. But it was even fun to see it in like the digital representations of it in the app. I was like, holy shit, this really is phenomenal. But all the way at the very bottom of it, perfectly aligned along with it, was the space station cruising by just as I was looking at it. At that point, it was like, now there you go. Some sort of wormhole just opened up.
For the kids at home, if you have an iPhone, I'm not sure about Android, but there's one called Sky Guide, and that's a bomb app for looking at celestial bodies and stuff like that.
Yeah,
very cool.
I think mine is Skyview. There's a bunch of them. I haven't played around with them lately to see which one's the best one. I love Skyview, but they're pretty awesome.
Skyview is really good too.
Yeah. Then on May 26th, we will have a total lunar eclipse. Total eclipse of the moon. Turn around. For most of the viewers in the U.S. anyway, the partial eclipse will begin around 4:44 a.m., which is my lucky number. And I thought when I saw that, it's like I should buy a lotto ticket at that exact moment, 4:44 a.m. At some mini mart around town. But for those lucky enough along the westernmost edge of California, you'll be able to look up and see exactly the total eclipse. And that will start around 3:11 in the morning, and that will be a blood moon. 2 weeks after that, we have an annular solar eclipse, not to be confused with the analar solar eclipse. And Christopher can testify. But this is where you get that ring of fire, those where the moon blocks out the innermost part of the sun, but you can still see the outer rings.
Mm-hmm. It's a little trick if you have anybody in the family that's a welder. You could use a welding hood, welding lenses, and you can put them right up to a camera lens, or you could put them up to your eye and look, and you can see it. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's what my blind Uncle Willie used to tell me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, but there's something about those eclipses, especially that's because the flames that it's got to be a trick of the eye, because there's no way that you're actually seeing the flames of the sun, but the way that the light plays, it looks like you can see like giant flames licking toward the sky on the other side. It's a crazy optical effect. And then on August 2nd, we have Saturn at opposition. Now, opposition means when a planet is perfectly lined up with the Earth and the sun, and the Earth is in between them. That's what opposition is. So this will allow for some of the best Saturn viewing that we've had in recent years. So get them binoculars off the neighbor windows for an evening of some other heavenly bodies. I suppose that's a poetry right there. But I feel like this alignment is probably going to make some people drive badly and be short with their kids, because it seems like every time something's going on with Saturn in the astrology world, everyone's just like crazy. Saturn and Mercury. Every time I hear anybody make those declarations like, "Oh, it's in Mercury this week," I'm like, I don't know what any of that means, again. But it seems to be bad. There seems to be something kind of to it. And then September 14th will be Neptune's opposition, by the way. So
my birthday, baby.
I'm looking forward to that. I've looked a shit ton. Oh, that is your birthday. I looked a shit ton at Saturn. And you will be able to easily see the rings with a good pair of binoculars when it's in opposition. So keep that in mind if you've never had the magic of actually seeing Saturn's rings. It is a magical experience, but I haven't really spent much time looking at Neptune. So I'm curious what that'll look like with my space binocs. And finally, November 19th, there will be a partial lunar eclipse, early morning hours of the 19th, visible across the United States beginning at 2:18 a.m. So there are your, as recommended by the Smithsonian, things to look forward to in space. That's actually a fairly busy little space year we got.
I was going to say, you've said it before. Typically you don't need a telescope or, a very, expensive lens camera setup to look at these. The best way is actually just picking up a pair of binoculars. You could go to any place, even hardware stores sell them, like, what is it, the Harbor Freight, and you could pick up a pair of binoculars for like $30. You could see all these.
Yeah, I wish I had my space binoculars in front of me, but if you get on Amazon and you look up space binoculars, the ones that I've got they're only $75, and they're like 2 spotting scopes for your eyes. I really don't know like optics and zooms, and I don't really I get a little cross-eyed reading those numbers, but these things are really fucking powerful. They're the most powerful binoculars I've ever used, and these things on a full moon is incredible. So yeah, you don't have to spend much money at all to get even next level. Like when we were looking at Jupiter when it was close this last year, I could see 4 or 5 moons clear as day with just these binocs. So yeah, don't have to have any fancy schmancy telephonic equipment, that's for sure.
That is neat.
Telescopic equipment, I should say. Do we need to take a break before trivia, or you want to roll right on?
Yeah, give me 2 minutes. Okay. 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'll take one too.
Jon-Mark, are you there? Hello.
Yes.
Now, would you like the Cyberpunk?
So I finished the game on my first character. I don't know, it was like 34 hours or something in.
That's not
and I had there was a shit ton of side quests, and not just little tiny side quests, the big side quests that I didn't do just because at that point I was like, you know what? I was at the point where I was like, I kind of want to see, because I was seeing, as I was building my character up, I was seeing all these other things in the skill trees, and I was like, that looks interesting. I want to actually try a different build and see
games great.
what the gameplay is like doing that instead of what I'm doing right now. So I was just like, fuck it, and I went ahead and finished the game. And I don't know. I guess there's 5 endings to the game.
Oh wow!
And the one that I got was, I was like, I don't know about this ending.
Yeah.
it was okay, but it wasn't. I was like, this is obviously not the good ending. I don't know if there is a good ending, but it was like, oh shit. But after the ending, you can go back. It lets you go back and finish up side quests and stuff like that. But at that point I was like, oh well, I think I just want to try a new build. So I started a new game with a different starting point. So I originally started as the street kid, and my second character was the corpo, and I went, so with the street kid I went pretty heavily into kind of the hacking route, and with guns, and I was using like a lot of smart guns and hacking.
Don't spoil anything. Don't spoil anything.
I'm not going to spoil anything. So what my gameplay loop was like, I go on a mission, and I would just hack into the cameras in the place that I was supposed to go into, and using the hacking into the cameras, I would just use my netrunner skills to basically just fry people's brains before I even went into the place. I just like go through all the cameras, find everybody there, fry their brains, and then I would just go in and mop up whoever I missed with my smart guns.
Sure.
And which was fun, but I was like seeing all these skill trees where it's like, oh, all this like blade stuff and like this like cyber ninja looking shit, you know? And I was like, that seems like cool. It could be a totally different experience to do this. And so I started a different character, focusing only on like blades and that kind of stuff.
Cool.
And so my second character, I'm just running around with like a katana and throwing knives. I just run around and just like throw knives at people and just like slash them up and like cut their heads off with a fucking katana.
Have you ever played Divinity 2, Original Sins?
I downloaded that.
No,
the game is so fucking good.
I played the first game for a bit. I didn't finish it. I don't know what happened. I don't know why I didn't finish it, because I was into it, but I don't know what happened. Something happened. But I have both those games, and I do want to play Divinity 2. Or is it Divinity 2 or wait?
Yeah, they got 1 and 2, and then they got Classic, and we could actually all play together if you wanted to.
Let's like play together. Yeah,
Origins, yeah. Divinity 2 Origins, that one.
Which one? What now?
Divinity 2 Origins, is that the one you're talking about?
Divinity 2, well, oranges. Original Sin, and then there's Original Sin 2.
Original Sin. Okay, gotcha. Yes. No, I did play that game, but it was a bit hard for me, and I got to a point where it was like, "Fuck, these guys are just like kicking my ass like all over the place." And so I don't know if it was because like I just don't know how to play that kind of game or build my characters right, or
it's a lot of multitasking, but you gotta level your character along with 4 other characters. So like if you get with a team, you could play the whole missions, the whole thing, and just have to worry about leveling your one character, and it makes it a lot easier to play through.
Yeah, it was rough. It was like, god damn,
voice acting.
These guys are just killing me.
Yeah, the voice acting, the narrator, I'd like to say is like awesome, so good.
Yeah, I wonder why. I don't know. I obviously don't see many video games of the new variety, but I feel like when I have so much of what I see, I don't like concerning the voiceover. And I'm like, why is it so hard to get that right?
Hey,
that would
if
be
I
the
send
easiest
you
thing in the fucking world.
If I send you a YouTube video of The Last of Us story where you just pop it on and watch it, will you put it on while you work or something?
Yeah. That's kind of how I've done that quite a bit. I've seen I think you'd be surprised how many of the games you guys have played that I know because I've watched them. I went to a phase where I would just watch because of the storyline, and just I like seeing where the games go. But you remember when I sat and tried to play some of these games at your house, Chris? I couldn't I'm an intelligent guy, and I'm
I remember
a gamer historically, but this shit has just passed me by.
Yeah, it has.
I was literally a guy like spinning in circles in the corner of a room. Like I was that bad. I was like, it was extraordinary how hard.
It felt like grandpa, you know, like why would I might have given it to my dad. He might have done better, and that's
anybody it's definitely a skill set that you have to develop over
you got to stick with it, because going from Atari to NES was a natural progression. NES to SNES was a natural progression, and even SNES to PlayStation, I did pretty well. And the last thing I owned was a PlayStation 2. And those games started getting a bit too much for me. I was like, I just want a few buttons. I love games with just limited controls. And
well, the thing is like, I have no doubt in my mind, dude, that you could, if you just practiced a little bit, you would be, it's second nature.
Oh, I'm sure I could do it, but I'm not going to practice video games. I'm at a point in my life where I don't even think that I have interest in learning any more musical instruments, even though that would be amazing. But if I'm going to practice anything, it probably won't be video games. It just doesn't come
I
The other
think
thing
there's
is, and that's another thing you get used to, is they make me
Steam
kind of nauseous.
that you would like, because I think there's a lot of like sort of like, you know, pseudo retro games where it's like just a few buttons, just a couple different kind of
Limbo.
controls. But
there
it's
are
like,
a lot of games out there that are new games that have the limited controls, and so you know, it's not so much dexterity. I'm good with my hand. I don't know. I just can't get it. And maybe it's also that the only time I've ever tried that shit is when there's like 8 people in the room laughing at me. That's not the best way to learn a thing. But yeah, I can't remember the last like modern game that I beat, like I played the whole way through. Maybe it was like something like Jack and Daxter on PS2 or something. That's how long it's been. And that was a rarity. Like to go back to a console where I was like, where there were hardly any games that I didn't eventually get through. We're talking like SNES. There's plenty of games. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of games of those that I still. But you know, like I love the shit like Lost Vikings. You guys ever play Lost Vikings on SNES?
Dude, I played. Dude,
I won
Lost
games
Vikings.
like that. Like I could play shit like that forever, and that's what. See, Lost Vikings, I think, is a direct predecessor. I don't know if this was true for the developers of the games, but Lost Vikings was a direct predecessor of that, the idea that Limbo became, which was like you got to go through it and die.
Wasn't Lost Vikings a Blizzard game? That was a Blizzard game, wasn't it?
It was.
That game.
I only know that because it's got a very prominent logo at the beginning where it comes in like.
That game saved my fucking life when I moved to upstate New York in the winter of '94.
This well-traveled motherfucker.
And
New York.
we
oh my god, is my mic on?
I moved. We moved to upstate New York because I was in a band at the time, and all these circumstances just kind of happened to where it seemed like that was the best thing for us to do. And like one of our guys was like from there, right? So we're like, okay, well we'll move to Ithaca, and we'll have that as our home base, and we'll start playing shows in Manhattan or whatever, and kind of like try to get this shit going, right? And so we moved there in like probably one of the worst storms of that time period. And like literally when we were there, I was only there for a few months, and it was so bad that they declared a state of emergency twice while we were living there. And it was like only people that were supposed to be driving were like ambulances and stuff like that. Yeah. And there was pizza like cars on the side of the road. The snow was built up like these piles, like 7 feet tall. And I remember walking from our house that we had rented. There's like 3 of us rented this house, and I would walk to either like the grocery store or the video rental store on top of these piles of like 7 foot tall snow. Just like, it was insane. And I remember one time we went to this bar to go have some drinks and play some darts or whatever. And this guy that we hooked up with was like, he was literally skiing. He was cross country skiing on top of cars that had snow all over them, and just
he's one of those guys.
Mm-hmm. It's fucking
one
nuts,
in every
dude.
Group.
but that game, Lost Vikings, because there's like the whole story of this is just kind of sad, but like, you know, like one of our guys just kind of like abandoned us during that time, and it was just me and this other dude kind of like left to fend for ourselves. Like, what the fuck are we doing here, dude? And we would just play fucking Lost Vikings on Sega Genesis like all day.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that fucking got me through that whole period. Lost Vikings.
Yeah. I love shit like that. I love games like that where they're enough to occupy your brain so they can get you through something. They're a challenge, but you know, I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, I like simplified controls. I suppose that might be my biggest. I can't think of the right word. Request for a video game, simple controls, but and I guess even simple gameplay. But
I would like to throw you in a fucking virtual reality in like Skyrim or
dude, I would just be too nauseous. I would get too. You guys look at this shit all the time, so you don't know what it's like to just not be someone that sees that kind of movement. When you're not trained up to that, and you sit in front of a big TV with that much fucking movement, it is nauseating.
Yeah, I haven't had the proper training.
And I can't imagine putting on a VR and experiencing that. I've only put on a virtual reality thing a couple of times, and it was just like gimmicky stuff, like roller coastery stuff.
I think amazing. I think you'd feel better about it because it feels more natural. Like you actually, the movement feels natural.
Like the last time you said these exact words to me, Chris, I did not feel better about what was coming.
Well, you forget you're even wearing it.
Oh, he didn't forget.
Same thing. He said those words to me too.
Yeah.
You forget you're even wearing it.
Well, there's art ones too, where you can actually draw in virtual reality. It's 3D. It's fucking awesome.
I know. I'm behind the times. I'm not rejecting it on purpose or on principle by any standard or by any means. It's just, that's when I last took the time to really get into these things. And you guys make fun of me for watching Leave It to Beaver and reruns of Survivor, but I'm kind of just geared toward that. Like I am a rerun, classic TV, classic game, classic music kind of guy. Doesn't mean I don't like new things. I'm always discovering and watching new things. Just not as much. But I will eventually. I am stoked to see The Mandalorian, but like I told you guys, I don't like watching things that I hate having to wait. So I love to just be able to marathon shit, at least a good chunk, and then to where I would be like burnt out on it almost, and then I can wait for something else. You guys need to do you and Jon-Mark. Now, Lyle, have you seen The Mandalorian at all?
No, I don't.
Yeah, see, Lyle and I haven't seen episode 1. So you guys you and Jon-Mark, Chris, need to record a little spoiler cast on your own, and we can put that up as a bonus for anyone that wants to support us on Patreon or even a one-time donation. Let's just say anything. Any one-time donation. We'll leave it to you guys what you think is fair. How about that? Patreon.com/Tales from the Space Pod, or PayPal.me/The Comet Mag. I really need to get in the habit of dropping these. I don't even fucking remember them myself. But anywho, and this show's been all over the place, but I think it would be fun to get some side. Didn't we even talk about calling it side quests at one point? Like doing a video game centric sideshow that was like bonus shows. We don't, maybe they're 15 minutes, maybe they end up being 2 hours. Just depends on what we're talking about, or even what we're playing. I still think we can get that going, and I can contribute. If we're playing the new games, I can comment. Christopher knows this firsthand. Don't let me on the mic if there's minors about. But
I'm on a watch list. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, we all are because of me. So anyways, you guys should definitely record your Mandalorian. I think that could be a fun thing to get some peripheral materials up.
Into that? Even if it's like 20 minutes, half hour, whatever.
I'm not highly biased either way, so if you guys need somebody to record it, I could record it and then we'll bump it on what is it, a Dropbox? And then
I'm down to do whatever, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, with that, how about we get on to some weird trivia? Good Lord. I got to start writing this shit down, I guess. I don't know.
I think I've struggled with it. The listeners have struggled with it. I think it's a sign. I don't know that
we should change the name.
I think it needs a new name. I'm open to suggestions.
Well, I feel like trivia should stay because it is trivia. And everyone's crazy about trivia. So that's an attractive thing for new listeners to see in the description of a podcast. But it's not always weird. What do we call it?
Strange trivia.
Strange trivia.
Yeah.
Dare we go with the third title?
I said it was such a
Actually, that would be the fourth title because you remember what the first title was. News that might get Christopher fired. Is that what it was?
That's what's making me fired.
We've been doing this a long time. And speaking of that, Holly, anyone that remembers the Holly and Ron episodes, Holly and I are about to start a little side quest of our own. It won't be anything to do with this show, although I'm sure there will be some crossover, because why not? I'm sure we'll have Holly on at some point shooting the shit with us, and some of you guys on our show shooting the shit. We don't have anything recorded yet for you to subscribe to, but probably by the next episode, I'll be able to let you guys know if you're curious about what Holly and I have to say. We still really don't know what the show's going to be. It's going to be more, I think, locally centric to some degree, but knowing Holly and I, it's just going to go whatever wacky direction it's going to go. And
Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Miss talking to her, but even more so, I miss winning. I'm going to try real hard tonight. I'm going to do what Lyle did because it worked for him. He pointed to the stands.
Yeah.
Right there.
Okay.
Home run right there. I'm going to go on record saying tonight, motherfuckers, I'm winning.
Oh, shit.
Man, that's some strong shit there.
Strong shit. And when have I ever done that? So let's see how this
Like
fails.
Ron.
Right.
Fuck around and find out Evans just stepped up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the
Boy,
deal.
that's the description of my life in the last few years, ain't it?
You're in fucking luck because Lyle just crippled you guys last week.
He did.
I'm going to make him go first today. He's going to go first. Jon-Mark's going to go in the middle like he normally does. And you get the benefit of going at the end and seeing how the other guys guessed.
I like it in the caboose.
Oh, I know you do.
You know I'm an ass man.
All right.
Just ass man.
Oh, without further ado, y'all ready for this? Yeah.
I was worried because we didn't get Jon-Mark. He snuck in there in the end, though.
I usually know. It's all fun. All right. Question 1. Now, this first question was sent to me by the lovely TJ. So, you know what that means,
She's the best.
guys. This is going to be worth 2 points if you get it right.
By the way, Christopher, you watched the New Year's show, yeah? The Radar Dames New Year's show.
I did, and I
That
thought
was TJ
TJ's
doing that poem.
Great.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah,
She
you
wrote
told me I
that.
loved it.
So I think I reached out to her like 2 days before I got that video from her, and she wrote that specifically for that show. That's how talented she is.
Great. Killed it.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for sending me stories. And if you'd like to make like TJ and be awesome and send me weird stories that you'd like to see how I creatively string into this fucked up shit, please email me at christopher.bizarre@gmail.com. All right. I know we're probably all a little tired of politics, but here's the little fun one. An election race in a small Texas town turned interesting a couple of weeks ago when the 2 candidates running for mayor each received exactly 1,010 votes. They tied exactly. So, according to this jurisdiction's rules, the winner was decided by A, alphabetical order.
Okay, so these are rules that they actually had already in place.
In case of a such tie might happen, this is how they determined the winner of the mayor race.
Interesting. Okay.
Is it B, by drawing ping pongs with the candidates' names written on them out of a hat? Ping pong balls.
Sure.
Is it determined by C, a rifle marksmanship challenge?
Nice.
Okay, where was this again?
Texas.
Oh, boy.
Everything's big.
That's a good answer.
Or was it D, the winner was decided by a spirited arm wrestling match?
No.
That's so funny. That was my first joke that I was going to say.
All right, Lyle, what do you want to go with, buddy? And Lyle's.
Go. Well, I'm torn between 2: the marksmanship, and then the just a typical arm wrestling thing.
So that
being
means you're going to go with
Texas.
another one entirely, doesn't it? I know how this
Those
works,
are my
Lyle.
favorite animal Lyles.
My first rodeo, okay?
They flipped a coin, and that's how they did it. But I'm gonna go with the marksmanship.
Marksmanship.
The old Alamo. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. Jon-Mark.
I don't think he can even run for office if you don't own at least 3 guns.
You know, there's 2 of these that I think could be a chainsaw herring. But I'm leaning towards the marksmanship.
Okay. All right. Ronster.
Well, I I love the marksmanship one. For some reason, I think that is a Christopher invention. I
don't blame you.
Between the ping pong. What was A?
A was alphabetical order, and B was drawing ping pong balls with the candidates' names out of a hat.
I'm torn between those two. I feel like it would be something a bit more random. And that would be random. I'm going to go, oh God, alphabetically. That's stupid. But
2 points on the line.
All of this is better how we do.
No pressure. 2 points on the line.
The politics normally. I'm going to go with B. I'm going with the ping pong. They just fucking drew.
Okay. Bold choice.
How could you argue with that? I mean, it's tied. That is like that's kind of how we solve things here, right? Like pick a number. Nobody won. You just got lucky. Yeah.
Okay. Question 2. I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan, as you guys are all aware, and I follow the news of his doings pretty regularly. Just today, Kev released some information about a movie he's been trying to get made for quite some time, Clerks 3. He finally has it. He, I think he wrote one script and then it didn't work out. Something he couldn't secure the people for one reason or another, and he trashed it and then he rewrote it. And it's like a 2.0 of the script. But he revealed to his fans that the opening scene will be underscored by this song. Is it A? I know this is a crapshoot. This is gonna be a tough one.
Yeah.
Is it The Black Parade by My Chemical Romance? Is it B? You know that song, right?
I know of it. I couldn't.
Well, it starts with the piano. Bing, 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 bing. Anyways, is it B? Hotel California by the Eagles? I'm sure you know that one. You could probably start binging that song.
Oh, I could play that for you on guitar right now if it was within reach. Luckily for you, it's not.
Is it I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston? Lyle, I know you can sing that one for me right now.
I don't know that one.
But do your Whitney Houston impression.
I don't have one.
Whitney Houston. Just say Whitney Houston like Whitney Houston. She did have kind of a deep, growly voice, if I can remember right, in later days. Speaking of
or was it D? The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy.
Oh,
wow. None of these are what I expected you to say. I was expecting Runaway Train or God, what was
Clerks?
prominent in Clerks? Yeah, they used Runaway Train at the end of Clerks 2. Or was it what? Runaway Train? It was definitely that band. Who is that band?
Soul Asylum?
Soul Asylum, yeah. Oh, okay. There was a Soul Asylum song in Clerks 1, so I know they used one in Clerks 2, but I think that was at the end.
I don't know if you've been following Kevin Smith's more recent movies, but I mean, I watched. Yeah, they're not great, but I did like Tusk quite a bit. But
I think that might be the last one I saw. Did he ever do that hockey one? He was going to do a hockey movie.
Goon, it never went through. He never made it.
Came through.
Yeah. The last one that I saw was Red State. I liked it.
It was good. Yeah. Did you see Tusk?
I did not. I've been.
Oh, you got to see Tusk.
You were always telling us to watch it, and occasionally I do. Tusk.
Okay. It's been on my list for a long time, but I just like every time I see pictures of that guy and the fucking walrus shit, I'm just like, this seems like. I know I should watch it, but I'm like just like I don't.
Jon-Mark would love that movie. He would love.
Okay.
I agree.
I will watch it.
It's not. You can't call it a great. It's a fucking ridiculous. It's one of the most ridiculous premises, and even in the Kevin Smith universe, it's pretty ridiculous.
It's funny
and yet,
because it came from a podcast they were talking. They were having.
I love the story, the origin story of it. Yeah, they just thought it up and like, let's fucking do this. And I love that about his childlike spirit. I love that about Kevin Smith. But so I had no idea what to expect. I didn't hear that podcast, by the way, but I knew that that's how it was thunk up. Oh. And just watching it unfold was like, it's a good movie, and it gets so fucking bizarre, and it's strangely touching and haunting in a way that really caught me off guard.
Yeah,
it made me feel things I was not prepared to feel.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, good Lord. I'm sorry. Refresh those answers.
I'll go over it again here. What's going to be the song that plays to the opening scene in Clerks? Is it? Oops, I had the wrong tab open. That was my porn. No, that was your score sheet. Was it A, The Black Parade by My Chemical Romance, Hotel California by the Eagles, I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston, or The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy? One of these is the opening scene to Clerks 3's song.
Not to get too in depth into everything, but like I feel he writes movies kind of on the whole Adam Sandler type of feeling, you know what I mean? So you're always gonna go with the old school rock, you know, like even like Joe Dirt, you know, you're gonna have the old school, you know, 80s rock, and so or 70s even for that matter. So I'm gonna go with Thin Lizzy.
Thin Liz. Okay.
Town.
Jon-Mark.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I follow Kevin Smith on Twitter, and I remember seeing him post something about Clerks 3 a couple times recently.
Yep.
And I'm sad to say that I did not pay close enough attention to have the answer to this question in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm going to say is that I want it to be Thin Lizzy, because that just seems appropriate.
Yeah.
Right.
And at the same time, we watched the Darkness Christmas special like a month ago or so. They had like
the Darkness, the band has had a Christmas special show.
Yeah, the Darkness.
Awesome.
They had
That
a
sounds
Christmas. They were supposed to do a concert at the London at the O2. There was like a theater at the O2. They were going to do a show, and then like some lockdown shit like hit them so that they couldn't actually have fans there, which they were supposed to have, but like they changed the lockdown rules, so they couldn't do it with live audience members. So they did it all by them, you know, just they did the show, but with no audience members there, and it was fucking amazing. I watched it twice.
Yeah, I remember seeing you talking about it.
I realized that, like, so I've always known that the Darkness had like a big Queen influence, right? And not to mention the fact that their drummer is like the son of the Queen's drummer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Rufus Taylor is the son of the drummer for Queen.
Well, trivia.
And but I realized, like, wait, they not only sound like Queen and AC/DC, they have a big Thin Lizzy influence too. I mean, like one of their guitar players wears a Thin Lizzy shirt like almost all the time. He's wearing a Thin Lizzy shirt.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, how did that not fucking hit me? But that's what I'm gonna go with Thin Lizzy.
I love it.
Oh,
Roster.
I'm starting to feel like I'm maybe odd man
I feel like
out.
a fucking contestant on like Whose Voice Is It or some shit like that.
Well, as soon as
I can see your voice.
As soon as you said My Chemical Romance, that something about that resonated with me. I may be wrong, but I feel like is that a New Jersey band? Does anyone know?
I don't know.
I feel like there's something in my head. I know that singer, I don't know much about that band, but I know the singer makes comics.
Yeah.
And
he also made the Umbrella Academy. You know, the Umbrella.
I haven't seen
Academy.
that. Have you guys watched any of that?
Yeah, it's good.
Is it good?
It's really interesting sometimes. It's not wonderful, but it's fun.
Well, none of these bands jump out at me. And going back to Lyle's point, I think he's right traditionally in movies of this ilk, but I'm thinking Kevin Smith specifically, he tends to use more contemporary bands like Soul Asylum and Bad Religion and, Prince, if he could. It was the Morris Day and the Time. I guess that was the one from, what's that? Jane Silent Bob. And it's also really weird that I thought for sure they had already put out Clerks 3.
He's been talking about it forever.
I guess that's why. I'm going with A. I don't know. There's something resonating in my head, and none of these other ones make sense. I'm probably wrong here. Boys Are Back in Town does make more sense, but yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. This next one, I have a question or a picture to show you for the before and the picture for the after.
I like it when we get the George W. laugh.
I don't know if you guys ever had these Kit Kats from Japan. They always come in these funky flavors.
The what?
Like
Kit Kats? Oh, yeah. I
Nestle
remember
Japan.
green tea and curry
just dozens of them. And
Not
I'll just send you a photo that might looks like. Yeah, I'm getting there, guys.
What's that hot spice?
Yeah,
I mean, like
curry,
they have all these weird, like peanut butter jelly. You've seen just weird things, cheesecake flavored.
Yeah. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So, but I've had some and they're really good. So they just make these. It's almost gourmet is not the right word. It's really good. Yeah. So, you say sake?
Yeah.
Oh. Boy, some of these are tiramisu.
I'm gonna need a moment to change one of my answers here.
Oh, what's the jelly sandwich one?
Hold on just a second.
Jon-Mark just guessed one of your fake answers.
It totally did.
Oh, you should have rolled with it. He would have guessed wrong.
No, because he would have known.
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh yeah.
Okay, here we go. I got it. All right, guys. Kit Kat. Yeah. Who's with me?
Balls deep.
We're with you.
Okay. It was announced this week that soon this flavor of Kit Kat candy will be available for purchase. Where are you going to be able to get your mitts on? Is it A, an IPA flavored Kit Kat?
No beer. Kit Kat.
Yeah, I'd try it.
Chocolate.
Well, I can't. I guess I can't. Can't try anything anymore.
Champagne flavored Kit Kat.
It better come from Champagne. Otherwise, it's a fraud.
Is it C, gin and tonic flavored Kit Kat?
You'd be all over that one, yeah.
Or is it D, Scottish whiskey flavored Kit Kat?
Ooh.
Roundster. Herring, perhaps. Okay.
You know, I go where the whiskey go.
So what was 3?
C was gin and tonic. So we had
well, you know, I could
champagne, gin and tonic, or Scottish whiskey.
What I would really want is to try the whiskey one, but being such a global name, I think it's going to be gin and tonic. You know what I mean? I can't. I mean, it's like Nestle or something like that diving into the whiskey genre. You know what I mean? Like Kellogg's, fucking, you know, beer, Kellogg's, whiskey. You know, I don't see it. But, so I'm gonna go see.
Makes sense. Jon-Mark.
I'm gonna go with whiskey because they're pretty into whiskey in Japan. So there's some pretty outrageous Kit Kat flavors, and I know that seems pretty legit to me.
All right. Roundster.
Yeah, I'm going with whiskey as well.
Okay, let's go on to our final question of the night. We are getting a video game movie that has some, pretty fair potential. If I'm not kidding, I'm getting my hopes up, and I don't want to, but we've been burned. Most video game movies.
Sure we have, especially with video game movies.
Yeah. But it's been announced that Sony's much-loved Metal Gear Solid franchise is getting its own movie. And they've even got their Solid Snake, who's the main character of that game, Ron.
We had Solid Snake on the show, didn't we? Wait, what? Wait, maybe I'm thinking. Is that Vic Mignogna? Or is that...
No. He was at...
WenCon.
One of the WenCons, yeah.
Was that Steve Bloom? Which one was that? You guys would know better than I would.
He's got a voice like this because he's metal. Metal Snake. No, wait. No, Metal Gear.
Metal Gear. Can't remember all the guys. Anyway.
He has a voice. I met him. I went to his thing. And he has his voice where he does talk like my Metal Gear Solid. And that's his voice. He talks like this. And he's in a bunch of other video games. But he is so loud with it. I could do it, because I'm doing it on a microphone. He was doing it without a microphone on stage, and I was in the back, and still it resonated. His voice is very predominant. It's a really cool dude. I can't remember his name.
David Hayter.
Yeah, David Hayter or Hatter. Is it Hatter or Hayter?
Hayter. Well, it's spelled Hayter.
Yeah, Canadian.
Yeah, he's one that I didn't get to meet. That last WenCon was nuts. But
You think you're going to be involved with that again?
I don't think so. I don't think the Wenatchee World has any interest in it, and I don't think the Wenatchee World has any interest in me. So if they go ahead with it, I think they'll pretend that I never existed, but I don't think they're going ahead with it.
with COVID.
Fuck those guys.
I mean, even with COVID and everything, they'll probably won't even never do it again.
Well, it's all about money, and that's how these things go. And it just wasn't a money maker. They didn't lose a lot of money, but they did make money, and that's what's important. And 3 years is most of these conventions take years and years to turn a profit, and then they take years to get. Most of them take years to get as many people walking through the door that we had at year one. We had a good thing going. It would have worked eventually, and not as long as a lot of these things take. But it was created for the wrong reasons by the wrong people to some degree. If it was up to me, there would absolutely be a WenCon. Maybe not this year, but next year. But I got other things cooking along that same line.
All right. Sorry. Clear my throat there. Something kind of weird.
Back to me.
All right. So we're getting the Metal Gear Solid movie. Who is going to play Solid Snake? Is it A, Jon Bernthal? And I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but it's the guy from The Punisher.
Now, you guys are at an advantage here. I don't know this game. Can you is it fair for you to describe this character to me so I could at least be on a fan?
I'll send a screenshot. How about this? Hold on.
That's fair. Because I don't want to look up anything and spoil it.
Just imagine Tom is a black dude.
He's essentially like a Navy SEAL Rambo kind of guy.
Yeah, get it done kind of guy.
Well, that does it.
But he's kind of slender. It's like more about. He's muscular but slender. He's more about stealth.
He's sleuthy. Stealthy.
Yeah, stealthy guy, yeah.
Okay. Where are you sending this to me, Chris?
I'm going to send it right now to the group here. Boopity boop boop boop. Hope there's no spoilers. Okay. So who's going to be playing him? Jon Bernthal of The Punisher and The Walking Dead. Jake Gyllenhaal. Tom Hardy. Or Oscar Isaac.
I
don't know who Oscar Isaac is.
Ex Machina, and he's in the Star Wars movies.
He was in the new Star Wars movies.
Yeah. He's Damon Poe.
Gotcha.
Because there's a side of him that is very weathered. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know what you mean, Lyle.
Because you play the damn game.
The side down.
Lotion will take care of it.
Yeah, there's badass fucking
drag jerking.
Weathered side to old Snake.
I'm pretty weathered too. My snake's pretty weathered.
Your snake is solid.
Solid. Fucking so solid. I think it's probably going to be Tom Hardy.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
It's hard for me to picture Tom Hardy because think of the characters that he plays, and don't you think that he looks different significantly from
dude? He's a fucking chameleon.
One character to the next.
Yeah, he holy shit! Like Tom Hardy's you don't.
He could do it. There's no question that he could.
He's one of those guys where it's just like, what the fuck? Who was that? Like Tom Hardy? Holy shit! I think it's going to be Oscar Isaac.
Oh, okay. Ronster, what do you think?
Well, looking at this, it looks like it could be the guy that's playing the Mandalorian. The guy from Lord of the Rings.
That would be a good
Game of Thrones, right? Doesn't it look like him in that?
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I think he'd be
I'm sorry. Can you, real quick, just run through the options one more time?
It's Jon Bernthal, who's the Punisher, and he's also in The Walking Dead. He was the cop partner.
Right, yeah.
B, Jake Gyllenhaal, Tom Hardy, or Oscar Isaac.
Well, I would have said Jon Bernthal, but I know... I feel like I better go where these guys are going, so I'm going to go with Oscar. I don't even know that. I didn't even know that guy, but I'm just following the crowd on this one, and I think statistically that's my best shot at winning.
Okay. Well, I'm tabulating the scores here, but I can tell you right now we had a very interesting evening. Very interesting.
It never goes my way.
It really doesn't. Okay. Let's go through this.
One of these days.
Well, we'll see. Maybe start strong. Okay, question 1. An election race in a small town in Texas turned interesting a couple of weeks ago when 2 candidates running for mayor each received exactly 1,010 votes. And the way they settled it, according to their law, was by drawing a ping pong ball out of a hat with the winner's name on it.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, shakalaka. Ron,
right.
with
Got
2
a 2-pointer.
points.
Oh, you're right.
Bat,
you did say start strong. Yeah, well, okay.
All right. So 2 points.
I mean, that's fair though, right? Like when you're neck and neck, like it's a crapshoot. What else are you gonna do?
Fairest way to go, right?
Yeah.
It seems like the fairest.
That seems fair.
Okay, question 2. Kev Smith recently revealed some information about his upcoming movie Clerks 3. I'm very much looking forward to this. He did spoil that the opening sequence will be underscored by the song The Black Parade by My Chemical Romance.
And I was
Okay, so they got to be are they a New Jersey band? Is that part of the story?
I think it is, and also in the article I was reading, he expressed that he took a lot of reflection on his heart attack and his dad, and really worked some of the story towards that in some way. So I don't know if you listen to the lyrics of that.
It connects with you.
I mean, the first
I don't know the song.
When I was a young boy, my father,
took me to the city.
Yeah, I do know that.
See you marching band.
I don't know. I don't know if that's any relevance or not. So,
Wow, I
but,
didn't know that song. I remember that.
I'll tell you what, dude.
God, that was like 20 fucking years ago, right? Or something
Yeah.
like that.
No.
How old ago was that? How long
It's
ago?
like it was like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Let's see. When was the
The 2000s were 20 years ago, the early part of it. Isn't that nuts?
Oh fuck, 2006.
Dude, last year was 20 years
Sold.
ago. What the fuck are you talking about?
2006. Get fucked.
So yeah, 15 years.
No.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
get to listen to that album. That album is fucking
Yeah.
amazing.
I love that album. I love the first. I love the album before that even more.
Really?
Fuck.
I don't know much about that band. Nothing that I ever heard gripped me.
Man, I
but
love that.
he was at one of the comic conventions that we were at, and I saw him. And,
he's a weird guy.
He
like
just
him.
seemed like this. He was so small.
Yeah, tiny little dude.
I don't know
Who,
why. I
Gerard
fucking
Way
need to
or Kevin
comment on
Smith?
that.
Gerard
He's small enough
No,
too,
I've
though.
never met Kevin Smith. Have any of you guys met Kevin?
No, I had the opportunity at my work, and I had to pick my kid up.
I didn't meet him, but Chris and I were both at the same Hollywood Babylon show here in Tacoma.
Yeah, we played audio from it.
Yeah.
That was cool.
It was amazing.
Okay, Ron, 3 points.
3 point. Well, I'm
3,
looking pretty fucking
nothing.
good.
Yeah, I mean, considering there's only 2 questions left.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Lose.
Okay. Question 3. Kit Kat flavors. More coming at you here. They release all sorts of wacky ones, but one you're going to be able to get very soon is Scottish whiskey flavored Kit Kat.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Jon-Mark gets it, and Ron gets it. Ron continues his streak. Ron already has 4 points.
I'm golden because I went with the crowd on the next one.
Looks like
With the
Ron's
crowd,
winning
you
here.
get your vernacular all fucked up.
I pointed at the
knew-
audience.
Oh my God, you did.
I knew that they had sake flavor already, and that's been what I've been trying to fucking obtain.
Obtain.
That was
yeah.
the one I
And
had to write out.
it's fucking hard because it's like the only thing that you can get it with is like some ridiculous like $60 thing on Amazon or something where it's like you know what I mean? It's like I just want to try it. I don't want like a fucking gift box of this bullshit. Like
Man.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody brought me back one from Japan. It was like a sample box. And one of my favorite flavors was strawberry flavored Kit Kat.
Oh,
It
I
was
bet.
so good.
I just recently found
spice?
for the first time
spacing with that.
the duos that they have now. You can find them in 7-Eleven or some shit somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was like a mocha, and it actually tasted like a fucking mocha. I was like, whoa, this is actually pretty good. Like,
Yeah, they did. I remember when Leah and I first started dating, we made a quest to collect all the Kit Kat goofy flavors because they all tasted amazing and like what they were supposed to taste, like strawberry milkshake or what. Oh, wasabi. That's the fucking spice I'm trying to dial up. There was I know that there was a Kit Kat wasabi. I was all I was so gung-ho about wasabi for a while because I discovered it late. I didn't get into wasabi until
It's a good thing.
10
It's a
years
good thing
ago.
to be
It's like,
gung-ho
oh my
about, for
God,
sure.
that feeling, that burn that it gives you like in your nose and your
Oh
sinuses.
yeah.
It's a kind of addictive.
Dude, when I go out for sushi, I don't feel like it's a complete experience unless I get that one.
I overdid it.
Exactly, that one burn where your eyes start to water and you're like, okay, there it is. There it is.
Hit it.
My bad.
That's my W spot. Mm-hmm. Hit it. Whew. Yeah, it's kind of making my eyes water thinking about it.
One thing about that Scottish whiskey flavored Kit Kat too, the chocolate they're going to use in these will be aged in Scotch whiskey barrels for 180 days.
Holy fuck! I want this. Give it to me now.
That has
Put it in my veins
has to make
so
some
it can
difference.
grow in me like a fucking parasite.
Just melt it and inject it. Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're down to the final question here. Can Ron get a gold star? Because this is interesting. Because I don't know that anyone's ever got 5.
Can I sweep it?
Maybe Jon-Mark has. It would make sense because he's just banged.
Jon-Mark has won every which fucking way at this point. Yeah.
Okay, we're getting a Metal Gear Solid video game movie, and it might be good because they have cast Oscar Isaac as Solid Snake.
Oh my good God!
Holy shit!
Folks, this is gonna sound like the whole thing was a setup.
Do what I did.
I should retire.
So,
well, folks, we wanted to keep the podcast going, but we have to stop.
Ron's retired, so I guess I'm the only contestant left for next week.
Wow.
Wins again.
That's fucking hilarious.
Good, sir. Congratulations.
I thought that we would all be having a good laugh, that I pointed to the stands and missed.
I feel like my answers are jokes.
But now, here we are. 100%.
Well done, sir. Well earned.
Thank you.
Tomorrow you'll be
5 out of 5. Fucking A.
5 out of 4.
God damn it.
5 out of 4. I mean, that's a hell of a ratio right there.
Yeah,
that's a fraction they don't teach in school, kids.
Lyle, I apologize. I must have been on your wavelength because you didn't get any of them right this time.
Oh shit!
It's all good.
Well, he did say he was going to retire.
Well, I mean, he retired, so
he didn't announce his retirement from retirement. So
I never did.
To be fair.
Well, good job.
Wow, that was fun.
He's still in a state of disbelief, like.
Yeah, and now we're going to do an hour-long post-show roundup, like they do when you win the Super Bowl. I just went out and gave it 110%. Speaking of how people were responding or playing along.
Well, where are you going to go now?
Well, I got to go
to Disneyland.
Got to go to Disneyland. You have to. But speaking of the audience at large, how about we figure out a way starting next week to incorporate listeners? We champion for listeners again. And I did remember, I thought that I'd forget, but I did remember that what we're going to do is maybe like a quarterly championship round. So let's get some people on board. We'll keep track. Maybe you guys can help us keep track because we're not the best at keeping track. But let's find... How should we do this? How should we find... Do we want to stick with...
How would you feel about making it about interaction with our Facebook, like leaving comments,
like
that type of thing?
Like
if anyone that leaves comments on our posts about that promote the actual episode, just comment whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
You will be entered into being drawn for a prize. We could do,
how about even better? How about like giving us a review on iTunes,
or either or?
Boy, have we ever checked our iTunes reviews for this show? I know we used to check them for the old one.
We did years ago.
I do.
Let's do it right now.
That's where the unfunny Queens comment is.
Do we have any? Do we have any new ones, Jon-Mark? I haven't checked.
You know what? I need to check again. I've been checking them, but I haven't checked them in the last couple months.
If we got anything. I'm almost afraid this can sometimes be a two-edged.
Real downer. Yeah.
It's only a downer when they're right. The unfunny Queens thing is just funny. But okay, well, we got 22 ratings. We can do better than that. But it's all 5-star average. How do I click on the ratings.
Oh God, this is like watching me play.
Here we
all
go.
over again.
Great podcast. 5 stars. Longtime fan. 5 stars. Hilarious. 5 stars. Love the vibe.
When
5
did this from,
stars.
though?
I don't see any bad reviews on iTunes.
No unfunny queens.
There's only 5 of them that left. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I guess 8 that have left comments. We did get one person that gave us 2 stars, but they didn't leave a comment. That's fair.
I think
we can't be everybody's cup of tea.
I think we say, like, if you leave us a comment and a review, like a review and a comment on iTunes, and whoever, like, during that month, like the people that during that month that do that get put into the pool for playing the game.
You mean week?
Or well, sure, but like, didn't you say it was like a?
Why don't we hammer these details out and put them out to the
We're doing it now. We're doing it live.
we're doing it.
My thought was that we would have people. We'd be playing for people every week.
Okay.
So after 4 weeks,
those 4 winners would go into the championship and get the prize.
Those 4 winners, yeah. Let's not do it quarterly. Let's do it once a month. How about that?
That's fine. Yeah.
I think we can afford to send them some shitty little prize. I can find a roll of duct tape and a half-used candle somewhere around the house that I can ship.
No, I will personally send them a merch from our TeePublic page.
Here's what we'll do, Lyle. I'm not going to put any of this on your shoulders. You're going through a ton, but I think the 3 of us can rotate. You know what I mean? I'll get on Amazon, order something fun.
Mm-hmm.
For the every third one.
Okay, so we got there. So next week, or as soon as you hear this episode, get on Facebook, comment, and share, and then go on iTunes and leave us a review, and you are entered. How about that?
So they have to do both things?
No.
I think they should be able to do one or the other.
Let's
do
just
both.
Let's just do one. Let's just do. Let's do. God, no, not everyone's.
Not
on
everyone
Facebook,
is on
though.
iTunes too.
Yeah, you gotta work for it. You gotta work. for it.
No. It's one or the other. If you leave any comment
It's
on
work
our,
for
comment
us
on our
too to
story.
go hunt this shit down.
Yeah, leave a comment. If you leave a comment on iTunes or either one, I think that should be qualified. Because like I said, some people don't even have iTunes. That's like I'm like, this is bullshit.
I'm enjoying the thought process behind this.
I don't know. Do you even have to have iTunes to leave a review?
Yeah,
anyway.
Absolutely. You have to be logged in.
Oh yeah, you got to be logged in to your moniker. But how about this? Let's encourage people to leave reviews on whatever podcast software they're using,
It will
Spotify.
help
Most
us
people
out.
are listening.
It will really
to Spotify.
help us out if you put reviews on whatever platform.
It's a big deal. I know it's a pain in the ass, and most of us, myself included, I never review or rate anything, like literally, unless I'm pissed. And even then, I usually don't. But that does help us out. But if you want to enter for this thing, let's stick with Facebook for now. And if you really aren't on Facebook but you want us to play, just shoot us an email, radarstationart@gmail.com. Well, actually, for that one, use that email if you want to send us show ideas or general feedback. But if you want to participate, you want us to play for you, and you're not on Facebook, you reach out to Christopher at christopher.bazaar@gmail.com. Did I get that right? I haven't memorized your email yet, Chris.
I think that's right.
Did Chris leave us?
No, he's there. Well, he might step out.
He's like, fuck these guys.
Hi, guys. I was here the whole time. Fuck you.
I absolutely didn't step away. Well, this is the best part of the porn. Okay, anyway, yeah, do whatever, gang. I'm relaxed, feeling fine.
I had to pee again.
Okay. Oh, sorry. All right. Well, this has been a mess. So let's get. So are the rules clear?
Y'all a mess.
Say play for me, bitches, and we'll get you in there. But for the most part, we're gonna go with the first 4 people who comment on the post of this episode on our How Bizarre Facebook page. Just comment on it and share it with your friends. That's all you got to do, and we will champion for you and get you in the mix. And whoever wins we'll go into the championship. We'll do one of those per month. We got there, folks. Will we remember any of this next week? To be determined. But we'll talk to you then. Thanks, y'all.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye. Ade.
Night, y'all. Guess every single year how many ships just vanish.
Let's say it doesn't.
Overall, just like in the
world.
10,000.
Whoa,
holy shit.
What?
The sea's a dangerous place, right?
Of course Chris would aim high here.